here we go. We're going to do a mid-year flip through. If you guys saw my setup of my journal in the beginning of the year, which I'll link below if you didn't see, I actually had a different sticker here. It was a zombie sticker, which is a character from Pee-wee's Playhouse, the old 80s TV show, but it kept falling off. And then I put a Halloween sticker on, and that kept falling off, so I had to put this on recently. For me, I really like corn. So I'll show you the other sticker. I put it here instead. It just kept coming off the cover, but it's still stuck on the back. This is like where I keep stuff, like stickers and stuff, so I just put it there. Okay, it is thick as hell now. Like, oh my gosh. I hope it freaking lasts. Anyway, so let's go through this. Okay, for the beginning, I'm going to go through this kind of quick because I showed this in the first setup, and I explained all these stickers and kind of shouted them out. This is a look back at 2023 and then 2024. Jokes, inside jokes with my Patreon members. Some of my goals, which I have met some of the goals already. I have already read way beyond 25 non-horror books. I have read more from my favorite author, Robert McCammon. I have read more by Sarah Hoggle, who's a romance author, and I have read a book by Elizabeth Engstrom recently. Technically, this wouldn't have been done by the end of June, but so it would have been all of those goals, not this one for mid-year check-in. Here is what I've done with my book club reads. I still have to read this month in July, but I did do the first 6, so for the mid-year, we're on track. I also have been reading a year of this author called Richard Lehman, and he talks a lot about rumps, so excuse me, but it's what he says. It's not me, it's him. And I have been doing pretty good, but I didn't finish reading Come Out Tonight here, which was that for the month before June, May. All right, here's my 24, one of my lists of 24 to read in 2024. This is Paperback from Hell themed or vintage horror themed. Look how many I've done. Also, gotta go over here. There's more. Look, look, look. I love filling these in. It's so satisfying whenever I complete one off of one of my 24 lists. It's amazing. So here's the other 24 list of books to read in 2024. And I've also accomplished a lot of those too. I'm so excited. All right, and here is the spread I made to keep track of a lot of my friends' book clubs. And if I highlight it blue, it meant that I was able to read it that month. As you can see, I started off really good. I read so many book club books here in January, but then quickly fell off in like February and March. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Got to a little bit in April and got to 1 in May, did terrible in June, and honestly still doing pretty bad, but hey, what can you do? You can't always get to everything. Same thing here, only played my TBR game once, only went to the library twice. I've actually done a lot of CopyCat vlogs, so I'm really proud with the progress with that. Those are vlogs I do for this vlog series I'm working on, where I read like my favorite authors and booktubers. This is kind of like a inspiration board type of thing. I go into it in more detail in the other video. Here are all of my movies watched. When I showed this in the other first setup video, it was blank. So I love how many movies that there are, because at this point last year, I can guarantee you that I didn't have this many movies watched. So I've definitely watched more movies, and it's going to get even more filled up when we get closer to Halloween. So I'm so excited. So a lot of these were for like projects, you know, Leprechaun. I did a video about the different Leprechaun movies. Also, I watched a lot of nostalgic movies for my readathon, watchathon, Old School April. Then I did some fun slasher and shark themed things and monster themed things for one of my readathons I did in June. So lots of stuff going on here, but it's so cool to see it filled out. Very exciting. And I left blank pages for more, which I probably will need to at least use 2 more for the movies. TV shows, I don't think I need many more, even though I left more. I'm actually just tallying per show how many episodes. So at first I thought maybe I would write out each episode I watch, even if it was of the same show. I was like, that's too confusing. That would get out of hand really quickly. So like Welcome to Wrexham, I watched this season, and then we watched season 3 here. We watched AHS Delicate, and then I put how many episodes total. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm doing that. I'll figure out something else to use with these blank pages if I don't use them for TV shows. So this spread is to keep track of my YouTube growth. I gotta say, this is probably my least favorite spread because I get worried every time I see this. It's like I'll never reach 5K by the end of the year if it keeps going at this ratio, but I'm still proud of my progress, but I really want to hit the goal before the end of the year. We'll see, hopefully. Alright, here are my 5-star reads. I do have to add stars here, and then erase the little dots, but you could see I put little stars around the corners of my 5 stars. I really love how this page came out. Let's see, trying to get the glare off, because I print these out with my little HP Sprocket printer, and so these are kind of glossy. That's why you will see it reflect the light, and so do the stickers. All right, and there's room for more 5 stars in case. I don't think I'm gonna have this many. We'll see what I use. So I have a list section where I keep track of things like KU reads. My last one was Larry. I also have a list of different goals that are different than the ones at the beginning of the journal. These are more like non-reading related. So like Keep Up with Journal, definitely did that. I also have been tracking my movies and shows. I have not been great at responding to comments, but I'm trying. I have not been great at this one either. I've been really bad at that. Whatevs. Watch more movies, definitely doing that. Here's all the readathons I've done so far this year. I'm gonna have to make another page because I know there's more than 3 readathons that I'm gonna be doing before the end of the year. So I don't know if I'm going to like make an insert or what I'm gonna do. I haven't decided yet. Or if I'm gonna have like a separate page that says like part 2 that's not connected to this page. We'll see. I don't know. Just ideas I've been writing down for different video ideas, or maybe prompt ideas for readathons, or a journal spread idea for next year. Just books to remember. Books to remember. Some are from my friend Crystal when I watched one of her videos, and others are just from my like Goodreads or Amazon list. I have listed what books I'm going to read for my friends when I do CopyCat vlogs where I read some of their favorite books. I already did my friend Kitty's CopyCat vlog, so I'm leaving this uncovered. You can peek at this because I finished this one, and I'll link that below if you didn't see it. I had a lot of fun. I love this spread so much. I wish I could show it, but I don't want to give away what I'm reading. More books to remember. It says, don't forget. Then I've got a list of my ARCs, or books that were sent to me from the publisher. I did this one kind of in the wrong color at first. It was white, then I tried to like go over it with silver, but not the best. Whatevs, it is what it is. But I still like it. I still like looking at it. This was definitely inspired by Sarah from Wicked Reading. She did her 24 books to read in 2024 spread like this, with like the title in the middle, and then just like very chaotically she put the book covers. So I decided to put the Kindle books that I own on a spread like that. The same design concept where it's like not straight in a line, they're just kind of jagged everywhere. And then I put these shiny like cute horror stickers and Halloween stickers all around. So yeah, ebooks owned, essentially that's what the middle says. And if I read that Kindle book, I put a heart sticker on it. So not too many read, 1, 2, 3, any more? I don't think so. All right, I've got a long way to go there. More clubs. I was trying to keep track of what other clubs were reading for their book clubs. I've got buddy reads. There are some with hearts. That means that somebody in the group DNF'd. But if there's no heart, then we all finished it, whoever I was buddy reading with. And I'm hoping this will keep filling up because I love buddy reads. They're so much fun. Here is where I've listed what I'm doing for my CopyCat vlogs about authors, where I'll read their favorite books. I have tried to keep track of my physical library checkouts, and this has nothing on it. I should have not made this. Next year, this spread is going away because I keep track of this on my spreadsheet, which I will give you guys a look at later. I don't do my reading journal like a lot of people, and that is because I have my stats and my TBRs elsewhere. So you'll see when we get into the monthly pages, which we're about to go to now, that I also keep a little bit of memory keeping in here. So we start off with January, which was my birthday month, and this is what the page is about, is my birthday, my 35th birthday. I have a lot of pictures that my Patreon members and friends made me, like one like about corn, because my Patreon members, I call them Kelsi corn, so they made me all kinds of corn stuff. And someone made me something that said Corn Queen, and then my friend Alicia made me a picture of Robert McCammon, like with a heart, and it's like, McCammy! Anyway, we make jokes about him. We call him McCammy, because it's cute, and because I love him so much. Happy birthday, Polly. That's a quote we always like to say on my channel, on my Patreon. So here's some standouts, and this is mostly watches. So I've tried to keep track of all the standouts, watches and reads. So anything that stands out to me in a watch kind of category is essentially something that I just really loved or enjoyed. So this is a spread of Grizzy and the Lemmings. It's a Netflix cartoon, like a kid's show, but it's so freaking cute. In this one episode, there was this baby lamb, and the Grizzy was so in love with this lamb. He's like, I love you. I'll do anything for you. And so I was like, I must have this in my journal. It's so freaking cute. But I should have the Lemmings on here because they're cute too, but they're not on this page. Also, I rewatched The Dark Knight Rises, which is one of my favorite all-time movies, and I love to rewatch it. I made a little TV insert, which I freaking love, and that's how I put some pictures to remember and some quotes. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. It's not a good Bane voice. Because in December I read Let Me In, I also watched Let Me In January. The movie, the American adaptation. There's also a foreign movie version of it. More Bane stuff, more Bane quotes from the movie. And here's where I kept track of the readathons I did, a little collage of the different graphics. So I participated in Catuary, Winterween, and also Nevermore, which was Kat's readathon from Kat's Novel Adventures. Catuary was my friend Andrew's readathon from It Came From the Page for his Patreon. And of course, Winterween is Gabby Reed's readathon. So I really love this because it's got little elements like Catuary. I've got cats for that. Nevermore, I've got like Poe and Gothic stuff for that. And this was perfect because it was a little witch, and this was called Wicked Winterween for this version of Winterween. And also the color palette matches that color palette. And also kind of matches like the blue I was going for. I printed this out from my computer and stuck it on as stickers. And more Gothic stuff for the Poe Nevermore readathon. Kind of gothic-y candle there. Anyway, that was the vibes. Then I have a picture, and it looks like an actual book. I put it on like a book cover, and I cut it out to make it look like it's an actual book cover in the journal. This was my favorite read of January, The Light at the End by Skip Inspector. If you want to hear me talk about that, I talk about it in my top 10 reads of the year so far. I'll link that video below. Here's a quote from the flippin' book that I put on a tombstone in Canva. Here's a picture of Spike in a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode, and it's kind of a flashback to the 80s when he was battling a Slayer on the New York subway, which reminds me a lot of this book. And gritty kind of visuals, that's why I put gritty looking graphics here and like punkish graphics, because that's the vibes of the book for sure. Then we've got standout reads, and for me, a standout read is anything that's a 4.5 star rated book or a 5 star. So it's not all 5s, it's anything that's 4.5 as well. And this one, I read it right at the end of the month, and I had already made my pages and started making the pages of the next one, so I had to put an insert in and just put, yeah, it was 4.5. But my other standouts, Hunter in the Woods, Child Grave, those were 4.5s. This was a 5. Oh, and this insert fell out, but I'll show you. Then this was a great book too, 5 stars. And I just really like the stickers here. And I didn't print this out with my Sprocket. That's why it's a very flat looking picture. It was just with my printer, and I cut these out. All right, so here is some jokes. So I always keep track of jokes from my Patreon channel in sprints because there's a lot of them, and they're ridiculous and they're absurd. So this is from a set of sprints. I think it was Kitty, me, Andrew, Katrina, and Christine. Christine's at Secrets Read, and also Andrew is at It Came From the Page, Kitty's at Spicy Cats Reads, and Katrina's at Katrina Brown. So we just had a lot of jokes, and see, I made this little ghost say jokes. There was a clown, we named him, these are Kitty's clowns, Little Ferdy and Ferdinand. We were making fun of this guy. I said this quote, "You don't even know how to shower." My friend Froggy made it into like a fake t-shirt design. We were talking about who would ever pick the man over the beast. Like, we like him as the beast, not as the prince. Get out of here. When I see the beast, I do a split. Anyway, it's very dumb, but amazing. Dumb in a good way, not a mean way. Then we were talking about, like, die in the pool if you peed in the pool. Just ignore it. It's ridiculous stuff. Freaking jacked up Aladdin. I don't know what's going on here. More jokes, and I love this page with the clowns, which really goes with, again, the Ferdinand and Little Ferdy and the clowns here. It was kind of like a little theme to connect it all together. And I do like the washi tape I used, and it's going to be easy to dip it back in. This was one of my first dip-ins, and I didn't do a great job. But more jokes. I kept holding this sticker up on sprints and like being really obnoxious with it. More like graphics that my friends and Patreon members made. Man or beast. See, that's what I was talking about. Who would pick the man over the beast? Nobody. Nobody should pick him over the beast. Anyway, more memories from January. my dog Jackson dressed up as a burrito, and I put a little poutine burrito by him. Here's him in his holiday sweater, his winter sweater. Chicken taco soup, I asked for that for my birthday, and it was delicious. It's one of my favorite meals ever, 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 ever. And then we just took some family pictures, me and Paul, and then me, Jackson, and Paul. Here's my cover page for February, which I decided to tip in. And the whole theme, as you could see, was like pink. Spooky and pink. Except for the axolotl, or whatever the heck it's called. I know it's wrong. Is not spooky, but it's cute. So here's the other page. Will you be my ghoul friend? And then this is the only thing that's really not pink. Maybe I wouldn't have put that normally, but I do like how it's pinhead in the shape of a heart. So I was like, okay, it's okay that it's not pink. But it doesn't really go with everything else, but that's okay. Here's another collage of the different graphics of all the readathons I tried to participate in, but I will tell you right now that I failed at the Gothic Hearts reading challenge. I didn't read one book for that. I did, however, read books for everything else, including My Bloody Valentine, which of course was hosted by my friend Coral at Pretty in Paper Cuts. This is hosted by Ollie, and another round of Garbogust is coming up soon. This is hosted by Kat from Kat's Novel Adventures. I just really like this page. I like the little sprinkles. I really like it. I'm going to keep saying I like it because I'm really proud of this journal. I can't believe it came out so good. So here are my standout reads. I didn't have standout watches really from February. So Devil's Creek, Hunger Games, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. Again, it's glaring because of the type of photo paper it's on. The Books of Blood Volume 1, Flowers in the Attic, and Grim Memorials, which was my book club book. Bonkers. See, I think I would like to put more stickers here maybe. Here are Jokes and Memories, and this is, I'm going to keep saying it's my favorite page, but this is definitely one of my very, very favorite pages. So my friend Lauren sent me a little Valentine's package, and you could find her at Happy Haunts Library, and she gave me a little notebook, and it said, draw some Valentine, so I cut off the cover because I wanted to keep it in my journal. And she also sent me a Valentine. See, you make my heart pop like a balloon, you know, because Killer Clowns from Outer Space type of theme. And she also sent me this sticker and wrote me this nice note. It's private. I like to keep it to myself. More jokes from sprints that people made graphics of. Me and Paul went out on Valentine's Day for breakfast because he had to work at night. He also gave me a card, and I cut out the booze on the front of the card. Also, we made, and we do this every year, we make a thematic meal with food representing each team in the Super Bowl. So this year, I have our meal documented in this. So I also kept going with the heart theme. So like there's lots of hearts because of February, like Haunt Me and this like spooky heart and lots of pinks and pastels. But yeah, here's the menu. Sourdough cheese bread, Irish coffee, which doesn't seem to go, but we drank it after we ate, Kansas City chili, and Lagunitas beer. I never know how to say that. But anyway, Super Bowl meal. And you can't really tell, but that's the cheese bread. And that's the Irish coffee, that's the beer. And you can't really see it either, but glass bowls back here have the chili in it. All right, flipping over. So, oh, I missed a page. So here we have March. I love this page too, but it's not my very favorite, but I love St. Patty's Day. It's one of my favorite holidays of all time. And so we have a whole St. Patty's theme throughout all of the March spreads. So the title page, Pusheen and green and just St. Patty's galore. Then we've got My Memories. Jackson was in a cone and he looked so pathetic. Jackson, no! Also, this picture's in here because Paul thinks it's funny because he thinks it looks like I have a mullet in this picture because of the wind after we ran in the park when we were traveling in Boston. So these are all from Boston because we went on a trip. And this is from St. Patty's Day before we went to Boston. We left the day after, but to go to Boston. But at home we made Irish beef stew for our thematic meal, and then we went to the Bruins game in Boston. We also went to a Celtics game. This is after the Celtics game. Also we went to the aquarium, and this fish, you can't really tell, but this fish is like staring at Paul, like they're looking at each other. I thought that was funny. That's why I put a fish here. Here's another. We went to 2 Bruins games, and that's from us running. We went to like this restaurant, this Irish-themed restaurant, where we could get like these Irish-themed coffee liqueur drinks, and it was amazing. This is at the Celtics game. And then we went on a second trip in March to California, and I met up with a lot of my coworkers. Paul came with me, but he left early. And on the last day I was there, I got to meet up with Kitty. Again, you could find her at Spicy Cats Reads, and it was so fun. We went to a brewery, we went book shopping, we just hung out. It was wonderful. Paul and I also went to a Anaheim Ducks game because the Mighty Ducks, the movie, I was like, I want to go to a Ducks game, and we just love going to hockey games. So with my work friends, we went to Disney for 2 days, so some Disney stuff. And then I've got jokes from Patreon sprints and sprints in general, and there's just really ridiculous stuff, like don't look too closely. I do like how Patrick looks like he's reacting to some of these, like he's appalled. Also, it's just out of control, that page. I love that page. Here is definitely my favorite in terms of standout reads spread that I did out of all the months. This is my favorite in terms of the title part of it, the sticker that I made with the little clover and just all the fun stickers. I did add this because I thought it was going to be a 4-star for a while, but then I went back and changed it to, so even said changed from a 4 to a 4.5, so I put it in. Initially, I didn't think I needed this space for a book, but luckily I had room to just stick it in there. But yeah, wait till Holland comes. Lots of good stuff. A lot of these were actually Irish themed. Like this one was Irish themed. This is Irish themed. This is Irish themed in terms of they take place, parts of them take place in Ireland. Wonderful stuff. All right. Here's my spread. I love this spread. My title page for April, just kind of letting you see it, the different angles with the light. Let me make sure real quick. So yeah, Oh Fish Sticks, this is from Rocco. So I host an old school themed readathon and watchathon. And I also have a whole separate journal for this readathon that like a mini journal that I did. But I wanted to put stuff in my regular journal for what I did for that month. So all my standout reads, these I bought from a sticker shop. So I didn't make these. Some of the stickers I've made, like I made this one, I just printed it out from Canva and used my silhouette machine to have it cut out. And a lot of these are stickers from sticker books. Like these are definitely from sticker books, these letters. All right, and more rad reads. And I did make these in Canva, little windows, and I printed them out and cut them out with my silhouette machine. So tons of standouts. And I included a 4-star because this one was my book club book and I had a lot of thoughts on that. So even though it wasn't a standout, it was still like a thing I wanted to make a note of. Then I had a movie page for the first time in a while, movie and show page, and I wanted to represent like some of my favorite watches from old school April because like it's not just a readathon, it's a watchathon too, so you can watch things. And so I used this thing I got from Etsy, from like an Etsy store. The back just says thank you, but I was like, this would be perfect because it has like the Blockbuster logo and Be Kind Rewind. I will say though, if you're gonna put something like this in your journal, it might be better to like tip it in versus actually tape it in because it makes these 2 pages bend weird. Like it's very hard to get it. I have to continuously try to like make it bend. So yeah, these are all the things I enjoyed watching the most out of old school April. These are my standout watches. And I made this in Canva because I did watch Ace Ventura 2. And I had this sticker and just wrote OSA movies, old school April is OSA. Movies and shows. Oops. Sorry about shaking the camera there. Then we go into Zombie-thon in May and Escape the Readathon film crew. And then we've got a sticker for the Black Cat Carnival. So zombie and carnival theme was the theme for this. All right. And we've got jokes and memories. And Christine sent me a package to thank me for old school April. And this is one of the things she sent me. And I just wanted to keep the part of the package because it's so funny. 2 peel and stick bouncy bum stickers. Anyway, I had to put that in there. Also, she had something that she gave me that said like little peepers on the package. So I was like, this is hilarious. I need this. A zombie like scratch and sniff sticker. It smells like Sprite, by the way. Also, I documented that I bought like a shark onesie. Anyway. And I even highlighted, this is a review from Amazon, and I highlighted the person saying, total party all the time. I love being a giant shark daily. Anyway, it's dumb. More joke graphics from sprints. And here's where I had to get creative with my standout reads because I was running out of room. At the very end of the month, I had 3 right away standout reads. So I had already filled out these 3 pages and I needed to add in, and I already had this page, so I didn't cut it smaller. It's already naturally smaller. And because the carnival theme, I used the clown washi again. And here's got some zombie stuff, some carnival stuff on the front. And yeah, I just went with a purple theme for May. No reason. Here we go, sorry. lots of standout reads, and I didn't really want to write too much. I just wanted to use a lot of stickers. Here's a zombie lady reading a book, which fits in perfectly with Zombie-thon. Lots of carnival stickers. I'm actually saving most of my carnival stickers for September because I'm going to be doing my own Patreon-themed carnival readathon. So then in June, I hosted a Patreon-only readathon with my friends Kitty and Andrew, who I mentioned earlier. Channels linked below. We called it the Unhinged Readathon, and I made a ton of stickers. And actually, this is the first spread that I've doodled around, and I love it. I just did this the other day because it was looking blank to me, and I guess I like a more busy page. And almost all of these stickers I made from Canva. Like, all of these were from Canva. That's from Canva. These two are not, and neither is this, but a lot of this is just printed off from Canva and cut out with the silhouette. This was made in Canva. And anything else? That was from a sticker book. Sticker I bought, and I put a knife in Surf and Pusheen's hand, So here are some of our prompts, the reading prompts. Here were our watching prompts, and this was my watch list, and everything I was able to get to, I put a little shiny heart. So I actually was able to get to a lot. You could see it glittering in the light there. Here we have my TBR page, which really, looking back, I shouldn't have made a page where I put my TBR. Anything I read, I had a red heart on. I had a ridiculous TBR, as you can see. 40 freaking books. Just more like beachy. The whole theme was supposed to be like beach, summer camp, slashers, and monsters. So that's why you see like sea stuff, but you also see slasher stuff, but you also see camping stuff, like especially I love camp and the tent and this beach sign. And then on the first page it says camp that way, lake that way. So it's just a mash of those three things because that was our theme for our readathon, was camp, slashers, and monsters, and sharks. So I really like this sticker a lot. All right. Like I said, this is a tipped-in page, but I'm not really in love with this. I kind of didn't put it in the seam on purpose. I actually made these collage pages of movies that I enjoyed before I did my standout reads, so I had no room for the reads, so I had to tip in even more. So a lot happened in June. I had a few standout 4.5 reads. Of course, I had to include the jokes still, and also the Celtics won the championship. And Paul and I also went and saw the Impractical Jokers. So that's from our date night when we saw them. That's more pictures from seeing them. And yeah, I just wanted to make this kind of like fold out. And on the front is my favorite read of the month, which was a 5-star, A Choir of Ill Children. So lots of standouts, all in these like 3 pages here. And I had made like a Instagram story template for people to share on Instagram what they were reading for the readathon. So I just printed that out and had put book covers on the actual Instagram story and just printed the story out for this spread here. All right, so here's a collage, and I would advise never to ever do this. I have learned that you should not use construction paper in your journal because stickers do not freaking stick to it, like at all. I had to go back and glue a lot of these stickers in because they kept peeling up. For instance, like this heart and this exclamation point were kind of folding upwards. So was this anchor, and yeah. So these are some of my favorite watches. Don't even pay attention to it. This lady screams, "Bastard!" And it's freaking hilarious. It's wonderful. All right. So again, don't use construction paper. It's way too flimsy. The stickers don't stick. I will never use it again, but at least I learned, because it's learning as you go process for me. All right, more collage stuff from movies I watched. I found a lot of new favorite movies. And then there's the beginning of July. So that is the mid-year flip through, but we do have more pages at the back that I have filled in. So I am keeping track of every book I've read. So here are all the books I've read since the beginning of the year. And I could have done, you know, they call it, a Dutch store, where I could cut it out and flip it and have one title page, but I'm kind of glad I did it this way. So I decorate each heading differently. So I really like that. And I use little square stickers for the corners. I think it dresses it up a little. This is probably my favorite title of all of these pages. So this is books read, since this stack of books plural. reading can take you everywhere. Again, books read. Books read. Nah, I actually spelled it out that time without just using a stack of books to represent the word books. And my last one, I just made the heading the other day. And I've got more to add since July, but this is accurate until the end of June. So there you go. There is my journal, and I'm actually going to show you, if you want to keep watching, if you like spreadsheets and stats, I will show you my spreadsheet and how it's looking at this time at the midpoint of the year. Hello! We have switched places. I'm at my desk. I've got my spreadsheet up. I'm going to start recording my screen so you guys can see this lovely spreadsheet. My handy-dandy spreadsheet. Just like a handy-dandy notebook or a journal that I just showed you. Here we have something that is just as handy. And I love this because I'm not good at making, you know, like stats, graphs and stuff. So I don't need any of that in my journal because I've got it here on my computer with this spreadsheet. And I love that. So very helpful. By the way, this spreadsheet came from Allie, the hardback hoarder on YouTube. She has an Etsy shop. I will link that. I got her spreadsheet last year in 2023. And then I also got it again this year. So I actually used some elements from her spreadsheet from last year and I moved them into the elements into this year's spreadsheet that she redesigned. So I will point out the differences that I have customized, you know, that differs from what she offered in her custom template for this year. All right, so first let's go to the goals page. We've got my reading goals. These are a lot of the same reading goals that I had in my journal, including the Read What You Own challenge, which wasn't in my journal, but I did complete this. I got to 50 books, but I'm still continuing to keep track even after I've reached 50 because I want to see how many I can read throughout the whole year. How many books that I own that I can read. All right, so there's the goals. And originally she had a template so you could put your 24 books to read in 2024 here, but I deleted that. And I used a template from her spreadsheet last year to create it. So I didn't use what was here. I deleted that. All right, so let's go over to our yearly stats. I love this page. It's kind of what you find on Storygraph, but a little more customized because you go to your books read tab and you enter in everything here. And depending on what you enter here, it calculates things in other tabs, like the year stats tab. So because of all my pages read that I have inputted into that books read tab, it is calculated that I've read a total of 32,000 pages, well, over 32,000. I've listened to over 15,000 minutes. It was originally listed as hours, but I keep track of minutes. I don't know why I do that anyway. I don't keep track of my DNFs here because it counts them as books read. So I have DNF'd, but I don't keep track of them on this sheet. All right, so my average rating is a 4.1. This shows me how many books I've read per month so far, which is pretty great. I have main genre read and all the different genres. I don't really mark subgenre a lot, but I've marked a few, like fantasy, horror, other, paranormal, whatever. Format read. I've read 77 novels, 39 novellas, a picture book, a manga, and a graphic novel. Audiobook, I've read or listened to over 40, and I've also done a mixture with over 40 books, so I've listened as I've read along, and then I've read 24 physical books and 10 ebooks. I don't mark my debut authors, I just mark new to me or read before, so I don't even pay attention to debut. I don't also pay attention to the publication, whether it's indie, self-published, or traditional. It's too much to look up. All right, and then I also pay attention to the audience, so is it meant for adult, children's book? Is it a middle grade book? Is it a YA book? Publisher, I don't keep track of that. I do keep track of the published year, and I do keep track of the authors. I say she designed this to automatically keep track of this. All right, and we have also diversity. We have series versus standalones, and here we have a graph that I made for the decades read, and I really like that. So if we go over to my books read, I added a column for decade, and I made this column link to the stats graph here. So I basically created this, which links to this column, so that I can keep track of how many books I'm reading from each decade. And as you can see, it separates it here, which I really love. It's handy, and I'd rather know the decades than the years read. All right, so let's move along. As I showed you the books read, I also added a column for a link to the Goodreads page, just so that I could look up things before I do my reviews on YouTube, my monthly wrap-ups. And I said already I added the decade. You could just see the different columns here. all the way across. I also added a column if I updated the book on Storygraph. Alright, so let's go to the Read What You Own challenge. So this is what I'm keeping track of for this year. I did start this challenge last year and I had a separate tab that I kept track of from November to whenever I completed it through this year. Even though I accomplished my goal of 50, I want to see how many I can get to. I love this. This is a new feature on Allie's spreadsheet for this year. She made a bookshelf page, kind of like in your journal where you would color a page and put in like the titles. I am bad at drawing and coloring and stuff like that, so I think this is great. And you can color code it. So I changed the colors, I customized the colors on my sheet. But audiobook is light blue, physical is green, ebook is purple, and a mixture, so anything that I use audio along with reading, I have it as orange. And if you take a scroll down, you will see there are tons of light blue and tons of orange, meaning there are tons of books that I used audio to read. Ebook, not so many, and green, not so many physical books, but there's still a few here and there. Let's go to 24 in 2024. So I have two of these lists, as I said during my journal flip through. Here is the more modern random one. Same thing with this vintage list of 24 to read in 2024. I had completed 12 at the end of June. Now that we're in July, I've actually completed 2 more. So I'm doing well with my progress. I'm very happy about this. So it's kind of formatted just like my journal, where I have got the book covers and then you mark completed. But obviously it's, you know, not as artsy. I don't have stickers, clearly. This is a spreadsheet. You can't put stickers in a spreadsheet. Maybe you can, but I don't know. Anyway, I love this. So Allie didn't set up this page for this spreadsheet for this year. This is from a template from her other year, where she made a 23 to read in 2023, and it was formatted just like you see on the spreadsheet right now. And I took that tab, moved it over into this year's spreadsheet and added rows, reformatted it, and I kept duplicating it. And I used that to make my monthly TBR pages. I used that to make the Read What You Own challenge template. I used that to make, what else? Both of the 24s to read in 2024. Also, to keep track of all the paperbacks from hell I read in 2024. So this is not just the 24 I want to read. I want to keep track of every single vintage horror book I read. Just because I have a goal to get to 50, I like to make sure that I'm reading diversely when it comes to my reading decades, or the publication decades. And so I've read 26 as of now, mid-July. And I also am keeping track of all the non-horror books I read in 2024. So anything that's not explicitly just horror, I put here. And it's stuff that might have a little horror in it. Like, some people think Dark Matter is like a horror sci-fi. I don't think so. I think it's just a dark sci-fi book, sci-fi fiction book. Also, I've got some children's books here. I've got a YA romance with Eclipse, because I reread that. I also have regular romance here, and I've got some historical fiction. Alright, so here she has a page where she automatically takes whatever you rated your book on the Books Read tab, and it goes into columns here, depending on the rating. And I love this. I like seeing at a glance. You could see how many of each star rating you have, and clearly you could see just from looking quickly that I have the most 4-star reads out of anything. I do have a good deal of 5-star reads. In fact, that's my second most filled category, which is crazy. I know a lot of other people are more stingy with their 5 stars, but hey, whatevs. I also have quite a bit of 4.5, so to me, as I said earlier, 4.5 and 5 are standouts, so look how many freaking standouts I have between these two columns. But 4 stars ain't bad, they're really enjoyable, and even 3.5s are mostly enjoyable as well. When we get into the 3 and 2.5, not as enjoyable, still good elements when we're talking about 3-star rating for me, and my lowest rated book is a 1.5, which is a Richard Lehman book. I also have been keeping track of my library books, specifically mostly my audiobooks and ebooks. That's really what I want to see. I haven't checked out a lot of physical books, but I do have a few to add that I didn't put on here that I checked out in June, physically from the library. I just want to see how many books I'm checking out from the library digitally and physically, which I can tell you physically is not very much. I really need to use it more physically, but it's so much more convenient to do it digitally. Also, I didn't use the series tracker that she had on her spreadsheet last year, but I started to use the spreadsheet for the series tracker this year because I think this is so cool and this will help me with book shopping. So when I go to a bookstore, I can never remember sometimes which Goosebumps I have and which I don't own, which Fear Street I have and which I don't. So I've bought duplicates before, not knowing, do I have this? I can't remember. a book cover looks familiar, but it could be because I've seen Cameron show it, or, you know, my friend Alex show it, or somebody else show it, and it just looks really familiar. It doesn't mean that I necessarily own it. So I love that she has owned, but she also has a column for read. So I went through and I've marked what I own and what I've read for Goosebumps. So there's quite a few that I have not read, and a few at the end of the 62 series that I don't own. And randomly, I can't find The Scarecrow Walks at Midnight. I thought I owned that, and I also thought I owned Ghost Beach, but I can't find it. So I guess I don't own those, so those are blank. It's not checked. I also did the same thing for Fear Street, marked which ones I own and which ones I've read. And I even color-coded some of it if it's part of like a little, like, the Cheerleaders series of Fear Street. Did this take forever? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. We've got Flowers in the Attic. I've only read one, and I don't own any. Also, Bone Chillers. These are Goosebumps knockoffs right here. Bone Chillers, Shivers. I want to keep buying these. I want to collect all of these, but I always forget which ones I already own. And I've only read a few of all of these. As you can see for the Dead Time stories, I've only read one, but I own quite a few. But I still have a long way to go with both this one and Shivers, and if you keep going down, I've got Graveyard School, another Goosebumps knockoff, same thing, Spine Tinklers, Spooksville, which is a Christopher Pike series, like a middle grade series. I only own frickin' 4 of those, not many at all, and I haven't read any. Phantom Valley, only own 4. Shadow Zone, I'm starting to collect those, only have 3. Are You Afraid of the Dark? I'm trying to fill out my collection. Yes, there are You Afraid of the Dark books. I have read a few, 4 to be exact, and I'm missing a few as well. I want to get this completed. Point Horror, I don't think this is accurate, what I've listed here. I couldn't find a good list, but I tried to do it correctly. I also have Nightmare Hall written down, and the S Squad, which is a random, like, Animal Attack men's adventure book that I was reading last year for Garb August, and I may continue. I like the audiobook because it's got, like, Scottish accents, and I think it's amazing. I've also kept track of the duologies and trilogies that I've started. Also here we've got other, so things that are not just 2 or 3 books, and not really a saga per se, but I'm keeping track of anything else here. And here are my monthly TBRs. And this is something that I made after I saw Amy show her spreadsheet, and she used the 24 in 2024 template, well really the 23 in 2023 template from last year's spreadsheet to make this, just like I used the 23 in 2023 to make my 24 in 2024. So we both did that, but once I saw her also use it to make a monthly TBR page, I did that too. I was like, genius! Genius idea! So here we go. I do love this. So you can see, I didn't get to everything. There's quite a few things, and I like putting what I tried to read it for. Then we've got February, and of course I have been color coding everything. And sometimes I'll put if it's a readathon or for a vlog. Then we go to March. It's all green, of course, for St. Paddy's Day. I read quite a few Irish things, and I started to write down where I could find everything. So audio on Everand, audio on Everand. Sometimes I'll put audio on Hoopla, like right here. And then I also include the Goodreads link. And then we've got April, which was a very big TBR because of my readathon, old school April, of course. May was also a big TBR, as you can see. I do love looking at what I didn't get to and just how it changed throughout the month. And then finally, last month to look at June, and it's red because of the slasher monster theme. But we also did a shark theme, as I said earlier. And yeah, I didn't get to everything, and this is my most outrageous TBR, as you saw my journal. And the only reason I put it in my journal was because I had put my watch list, and I was like, should I put my TBR in my journal too? And I did. I really didn't need to do that, and I won't do that in the future. So this is my spreadsheet again from Allie, the Hardbook Hoarder. I will link her channel below, and I'll try to link her Etsy below. Anyway, I think that is all of the tabs, and I just love this spreadsheet. I'm a stats nerd. Don't feel bad, guys, if you don't like stats, if you don't like spreadsheets. That's perfectly okay if you don't read as much as me. But if you love just, you know, awesome organizational things like a spreadsheet or a journal, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know it was super long, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to check out my videos. It means so much to me. Comment below. You can always comment a pencil or a pen or a book if you don't have a comment to say, but how do you keep track of your reads or your watches? Do you journal? Let me know anything you want to down below in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. But for this time, guys, that is it for me. Till next time. I don't know why I laughed so hard. Till next time, because it sounded dumb, that's why. You know what you can do. Keep Oh, you're killing it. Bye, guys.